So you want to be a data engineer. My congratulations for the decision. It's absolutely fantastic field of computer science, and when you will manage to get there, you will rather not complain about lack of jobs or salary. In one of our previous episodes, we were talking about what data engineering is about. In this episode, we will be discussing how to prepare yourself for one specific but extremely important part of interview, which is SQL and Python. So stay with us till end, because even if you are already a data engineer, this will help you to become better or get into the high-profile companies like Apple, Microsoft or Tesla. Very standard data engineering interview process looks something like this. At the beginning, they will try to check if you are a serial killer. It means that if you are somehow normal, will you fit in terms of culture to the company? Will people who are already in the company, they will be willing to work with you? Are you open to learn? So they will try to figure out what kind of person you are. Then the next section, it can be a separated meeting. It will be about your general knowledge about data engineering. What experience do you have? What projects you did? Do you know what's the difference between batch and streaming? If you have experience with streaming, what kind of problems you saw? How do you handle late arrivals? What's the change data capture? Then the next section is about the tools. Every company uses some tools for data engineering. It's not only Python. So they will ask you questions about Spark, Flink, Kafka, Hadoop, different things which they may be using. Maybe they are using one of the cloud like GCP. So they will just try to figure out how much they will need to invest in you at the beginning before you will be productive. And the next section, which is usually pretty short, something around 45 minutes to 1 hour, but it's not because it's easy, it just gives you the time constraint and check how well you are performing. It's usually SQL and one selected programming language. It can be Python, but some companies are using Scala, Java, Go or other languages, and they will try to check what's your working knowledge, how well you can get the data from the database by yourself using SQL, and how well you are capable to solve typical programming problems. Are you the guy who thinks about what's the optimum solution, or you are type of the person who whatever works then works, everything is fine? And then depends on the type of the job you are applying. You can of course apply to some junior positions, entry level. You may be more experienced person, senior or principal. And then you may be a consultant, you may be looking for different consulting jobs. Different things will have a different importance for the company who are looking for the data engineer. When you are applying for the junior position, then of course the cultural fit, if you are a serial killer, is extremely important for the company. You don't carry with you too much knowledge, that's obvious, but it's important, super important, if the people with the company will be willing to coach you, which a bit in opposite to experienced senior. You might be a bit, let's quote to quote, strange person. You have already a lot of knowledge, so maybe other guys in the team, they will need to adjust to you, so it's not so super critical. It's very important because they are hiring a senior person for many years, so they need to fit somehow, but they don't need to fit 100%. And on the second side of the scale is consultant. Usually we are hiring consultants for a very short time period, so it's not so important if he will be liked or she will be liked. It's more important if they will do the job. Then when it's going about data engineering knowledge, again, how much junior the entry-level person can know. You should be able to demonstrate your willingness to learn, say that you know those terms, that this is nothing new, that you are conscious what kind of jobs wait for you. But it's not critical to have experience. There is no chance for the junior person to have experience in those topics. In opposite to experienced and senior person, they need to have this knowledge. So this is super critical. They will be also contributing a lot to data architecture in the company. So they really need to be so good. When it's going about the consultant, then of course they need to be experienced, but they will not be architects. They usually are hired to solve specific problem. So they don't need to have a broad understanding of the architecture and different data engineering problems. When it's going about the tools, the same story when it's going about junior person, how much tools you can know, you may be playing with some. It's good to know them, like you know that they exist, you can say that you are playing with them, but there is no experience required from you. In opposite to experienced senior person, then it's really good if they have experience in such tools. Even if they don't have, it's not critical. Experienced person, again, you are hiring for for a years, so there will be a time for learning, especially that they know a lot of concepts. They will just learn new tools very quickly. And the consultant is again on the second scale than junior person. We are usually hiring consultants for some specific task related with some specific tools. It can be Spark consultant or Teradata consultant, because there is so few people nowadays knowing the Teradata, so you may want to hire a consultant to solve some specific problem, and that's it. When it's going about programming language, and this is really, and I cannot emphasize how important it is. In terms of the junior people, this is something what every junior person can master at home at no cost. There is no excuse not to know it. And they will really check, and in case of the junior person, it will be super important. In terms of experience, senior, they may check, they may not. They will not check if you are applying to usual company, but when you are applying to some top companies, like some time ago at Google, they didn't care what's your experience. You were always getting a test to do. In terms of consultant, well, they don't really care. The most important for them is if you know the technology or not, and if you can solve some specific problem for them or not. So SQL and Python or any other programming language, this is really a key. When it's going about SQL, you will be asked to write 3 to 5 queries, and you will get some database with dataset inside. It can be e-commerce company, like in our case. Questions will be something like, what was the sales in Q1? Or you will be asked to list down the customers who didn't purchase anything this year, or what was the profit per store. And as an extra, but then usually you will get extra time, you may be asked about some standard elements of databases, like what's the primary key, or what's a view, what's the data mart, or what does it mean normalization of database. Things which anyway you should know once you are learning SQL. When it's going about Python, time will be usually similar, and again 3 to 5 problems to solve, when they will try to check your knowledge about the data structure, basic things, dictionaries, lists, and they will check your knowledge about basic and simple algorithms, nothing sophisticated. Type of the problems which you can see on such interview will be sort a list without a sort function, count unique letters in the string, reverse order of letters in the string, or count the frequency of each letter in the string with dictionary. And as extra, depends on the company, but they may pay attention to the performance. So those questions doesn't seem to be difficult, but considering that the time is really limited, there will be number of questions. It's really difficult to go through such interviews successfully without a prior preparation. There are some good news. First of all, usually everyone on such interview, they are really nice. They don't want to stress you out. They want you to be super relaxed and they want you to be successful. Another good thing is that there are already good ways you can prepare yourself before such interview. When it's going about preparation for this kind of interview, there are two amazing portals which I know, which are very similar. First one is HackerRank, and the second one is LeetCode. This one I know a bit better. Both of them looks similar. So you have free as well as premium account of both of them. I have never paid single penny for using that, but you may have a good reason to pay it for premium. Anyway, once you go on the HackerRank on dashboard and you scroll down, you see different categories of problems which you can solve. Like here, let's click into algorithms. We have also SQL databases and so on, but let's check this one. And what we have here is a list of different problems. What is really important is that there is a different difficulty of them, easy, medium, hard. Just don't start with anything else than easy at the beginning. Some easy are not easy. It's really important to solve 10, 20, 30 problems which are easy at the beginning. Don't jump straight away. Don't be too ambitious at the beginning. And let's click this one to see how it looks like. So it's very similar on the LeetCode. On the left side, there will be a description of problem. On the right side, there will be some code. We have Python because we have Python selected from the list. There are other languages as well. And there is a place for you to write your solution. Here it is. And once you click Run Code, it will check if your solution works properly in terms of logic. So if you get the same results as they want you to get. But once you click Submit Code, it will also check a performance of your solution. Usually there are some, like here, constraints in terms of performance. So if you will write too lazy solution, it will not fly. You will need to think hard how to solve it. And the same when it's going about the lead code. Just this time we click on the top problems and we have many interesting things. We have some contests, weekly, bi-weekly, we have some interviews, things which probably it's worth to check. When we scroll down, again, we have a list of the problems, algorithm, databases, shells, concurrency, very useful things. And the same split per easy, medium and hard. When we go to some easy, like this one, layout is very similar as on the HackerRank. On the left we have description, on the right we write our own code. Just my personal experience tells me that sometimes the description of the problem on the lead code is shorter than on the HackerRank, so it may be a matter of the personal preference. I usually use lead code and that's the one I'm recommending to other people, and I know that they are successful, but on the other hand you may prefer HackerRank on some other problem. It doesn't really matter, everything is fine. What is important to know is that when you get stuck, and believe me, there is many good reasons to stuck with the solution, then you have here a discussion where people are sharing their own solution with others, when you can go and check how different people have approached this problem. Just what is very important is not to get depressed. Some of those people are just simply amazing. They are like pro. But not because they are so smart, it's because they have solved so many similar problems that once they see the problem, they know very well which algorithm to use and how to use it, so they are coming up with crazy solutions. And when we go back on the top, the things gets even more interesting when we select SQL, because Python problems, let's be honest, that's something on what everyone can practice on our own computer. But in case of the databases, you don't only get the description of the problem, but what is very interesting, you get the whole environment with the database, tables and data already there. So it's very handy. In this case, table person and address already exist. There is some exercise to be done. Once you write your solution on the right, you can just refer to the table, hit run code and submit, and it just simply works. And believe me guys, after solving such a problems for a week, 2, 3 or 4, and once you hit the interview, you are completely different person that you would go on the same interview without any prior preparation. So I can only recommend, especially for junior people. You don't have any experience yet, you may not have any sophisticated projects, so everything counts. Don't forget to subscribe, recommend it to your friends, family and enemies, and see you soon.